Ceres awakens. Ceres, once a forgotten dwarf planet drifting quietly in the asteroid belt, now pulsed with artificial life. From orbit, it looked like a sunlit anthill of activity. Ships docking, drones swarming, and scaffold superstructures rising from its regolith. What had been a barren rock was now humanity's first true interstellar research hub. They called it Ceres Base Alpha, and within its reinforced hull, the future of Earth's place in the galaxy was being written. Dr. Lena Morozov adjusted her helmet as the airlock hissed open. Inside the bio-research wing, dozens of humans and aliens worked shoulder to shoulder in labs lit by sterile white lights. Gowans padded barefoot across the floors, their black fur sleek beneath environmental coats. VZKTK moved carefully, 6 limbs deftly manipulating tools too delicate for human hands. And in the corner, like a shadow made flesh, a single Corti watched from behind a transparent screen, expression unreadable. Lena stepped toward the main table, where a transparent slab displayed the latest scans. A hybrid fusion zero-point reactor prototype, reverse-engineered with cautious precision from alien tech. A project that would have taken Earth decades, maybe centuries, had taken only 4 years. "Is this stable?" she asked, nodding toward the energy readings. Her assistant, Dr. Ravi Singh, tapped on the console. "More than that. It's scalable. If this holds, we're looking at an energy yield equivalent to 6 standard reactors at half the mass." Lena smiled tightly. "We'll run a full-stress simulation. Then we forward it to the Hephaestus team. They'll want it for the Mercury station build." Behind them, the Corti leaned closer, its oversized cranium betraying no emotion. "Fascinating," it murmured, voice dry as parchment. "Your species' integration curve continues to defy statistical modeling." Lena turned to face it. "You mean we're learning too fast?" "Precisely," it said, tone neutral. "Such velocity in technological and biological convergence is unique. Dangerous, if left unmanaged." "We're not children," she replied coldly. "Not children. Not controllable either." The moment hung for too long, until a Gaussian technician's bark of laughter broke the tension. "That's the point, Corti," he said. "They don't do manageable." Elsewhere in Ceres Base, down in the sublevels few had access to, other kinds of research were being conducted. Amy Kohler moved quietly through Maintenance Tunnel 6B, clutching her stolen access pad like a lifeline. She'd been embedded as a civilian communications contractor, but after 3 months, the things she'd seen didn't add up. Certain doors were never listed on base schematics. Personnel disappeared without explanation. And every so often, Corti advisors were seen escorting humans into the lower labs, humans who never came back above ground. She crouched beside an access panel and tapped in the override sequence she'd lifted off a distracted engineer. The door opened to reveal something wrong. Not just illegal, inhuman. Through the glass beyond, she saw biocontainment pods. Inside them floated human test subjects, wired into alien tech, pale and motionless. Charts blinked above each tank. Neural data, genetic drift rates, muscle density projections. The readings were impossible. Some subjects had internal changes well beyond known biology. Extra neural branches, reinforced spinal tissue, mitochondrial overdrive. She backed away, pulse racing. The Corti weren't just observing. They were changing people, evolving them, without consent. Back in the upper levels, Lena received a high-priority signal from the Jovian Orbit Lab. A visual feed appeared, one of the Corti-run facilities that liaised with Ceres. The message was brief, grainy. Subject R09 breach containment. Facility lockdown compromised. Data integrity lost. Initiating failsafe. The feed cut to static. Seconds later, sensors flared. A deep space shockwave registered on long-range scans. An energy burst consistent with a self-destruct protocol. The Corti lab was gone. So was the subject. By the time Earth Command was notified, surveillance from a long-range drone picked up a life pod drifting outward from Jupiter's shadow. Inside, Sergeant Miguel Rojas was unconscious, burned, altered. He had been part of a volunteer augmentation trial, officially sanctioned for stress tolerance testing. But his body now read as post-human. Reinforced bone lattice, synaptic acceleration, and worse, he had interfaced with alien hardware instinctively. Humanity didn't know it yet, but the first Heat soldier had just been born, not in glory, but in betrayal. Ceres Base continued its orbit, gleaming like a spearhead in the void. But beneath its ambition, something had shifted. The galaxy wasn't just watching Earth rise. It was beginning to worry. The Corti Gambit. Sergeant Miguel Rojas blinked as white light stabbed into his eyes. He sat up slowly, metal restraints retracting automatically from his arms and legs. Pain lanced through every joint, but it felt distant, dulled, as if his nerves were insulated. He looked around the medbay. Not Earth, not Ceres either. Everything smelled sterile. The walls pulsed with faint energy lines, unmistakably Corti architecture, slick, minimal, inhuman. A soft chime sounded. A voice followed, clinical and detached. Subject R09 is awake. Neural baseline above expectations. Begin behavioral monitoring. Miguel tried to speak, but his throat was dry. A drip line fed into his arm, dispersing nanites and synthetic electrolytes. He jerked the needle free and stood. And then, realization hit. He felt everything. The hum of the artificial gravity through his boots. The power signatures of the wall panels. Even the Corti behind the mirror glass wall, whose pulse he could hear if he concentrated. They'd changed him. He remembered the brief. Volunteer augmentation, accelerated healing, performance enhancement. A patriotic service. But this was beyond enhancement. This was transformation. Meanwhile, in the administrative wing of Ceres Base, Dr. Lena Morozov stared in disbelief at the latest data dump. The files, leaked anonymously and encrypted, contained schematics, DNA, splicing logs, and subject evaluations. They weren't from Ceres. They were from a now-destroyed Corti facility in Jovian orbit. "This is insane," muttered Ravi Singh, reading over her shoulder. Gene grafting, synaptic acceleration, adrenaline hardwiring? They weren't just testing humans, they were rewriting them. Lena pinched the bridge of her nose. Without oversight, without consent, and without restraint. The project wasn't medical. It was military. "The Corti think we're an evolutionary canvas," she said quietly. "Something they can paint over." Far away, aboard a stolen Corti scout ship, Miguel Rojas found himself in a battle of instincts. He'd overpowered the crew in seconds. Strength, speed, precision, all heightened. He hadn't even thought about the controls. He knew how to fly the vessel, how to manipulate gravity shielding, even how to fake a registry signature. He didn't remember learning it. It was just there, encoded. He stared at his reflection in the control panel. The face was his. The eyes were not. They shimmered faintly silver under the lights, pupils flickering as they adjusted autonomically. He should have been afraid. Instead, he felt calm. "I'm not broken," he whispered. "I'm back on Earth." Amy Kohler was broadcasting again. Her underground feed, Clear Signal, had exploded overnight after she leaked images of Corti augmentation labs. The footage of unconscious human subjects wired into alien pods had gone viral within hours. And now, she stood in front of a secure compound in Geneva, UN security forces at her back, and cameras rolling. "The Corti claim to be our partners. Our scientific allies," she said, voice steady. "But the truth is clear. They treated us like clay, like livestock to mold. They broke every principle of consent, sovereignty, and ethics. And they did it on our soil." The broadcast ended. Protests ignited in major cities. The Earth Corti Research Alliance was suspended by morning. The Galactic Council, for all its posturing, responded with carefully neutral statements. Unfortunate overreach. Rogue actors. Tragic misunderstanding. But Earth had already drawn its conclusion. No one was watching humanity's back, but humanity itself. 3 days later, Miguel's stolen Corti vessel emerged near Ceres Base. Every sensor lit up. Weapons locked on. Fighters scrambled. "Unknown ship. This is Ceres Control." A stern voice echoed through the comms. "You are approaching a restricted zone. Power down immediately, or you will be fired upon. Miguel didn't respond. He rerouted external feeds and activated the ship's emergency docking protocol, something you shouldn't have known how to do. Inside the command center, Lena watched as the vessel docked. Her heart raced. Everyone assumed R-09 was dead, but the scans told another story. "Miguel," she whispered, "what did they do to you?" The airlock opened. He stepped out slowly, wearing a stripped Corti environment suit. No weapon, no words, just presence. And the silence in the command center was complete. Dr. Singh finally broke it. "We need to study him, understand what's been done." Lena nodded slowly. "Yes, but not like the Corti. Not to him." She stepped forward. "Sergeant Rojas, do you remember who you are?" He looked at her. His voice was calm, confident. "I remember Earth. I remember my oath. And I remember what they tried to make me forget." That night, Earth Command approved Project Heat, hazardous environment assault teams, based on Miguel's enhancements. Voluntary, supervised, transparent. Humanity would no longer be reshaped by others. Now, it would reshape itself. Hephaestus rises. The sun blazed beyond the horizon of Mercury, casting harsh shadows across the massive latticework of steel and ceramic that hung in low orbit. There, anchored against the solar tide and wrapped in radiation-shielded alloys, was Hephaestus Station, humanity's first completely independent orbital megastructure. It had no alien advisors, no galactic council funding, no Corti oversight. It was built by humans for humans. From the observation deck of Docking Arm 12, Admiral Lee Jun regarded the growing superstructure with quiet pride. Thousands of modules floated like pieces of a puzzle, snapping together under the guidance of autonomous drones and zero-G welders. The heart of the station, its core reactor, had been powered on just that morning. Containment stable. Fusion zero-point hybrid maintaining 118% baseline efficiency. A technician reported behind him. Lee turned, and a shielding, multi-layered gravitic buffering, adapted from Ceres models. "It's holding even at full thrust." Lee nodded. That had been the gamble, whether Earth's engineers could take pieces of alien theory and weld them into a new kind of power. They had, faster than anyone expected. And now, the galaxy was paying attention. Hephaestus was more than a construction hub. It was a statement. Its modular dry dock could fabricate warships and freighters both. Its research wings were shielded and isolated, reserved for classified materials and defense prototypes. Beneath it all, an armored bastion contained something the world had only recently named. Heat Command. Hazardous environment assault teams, humans enhanced through a voluntary, ethical augmentation process. No genetic theft. No forced evolution. Every candidate underwent rigorous physical, psychological, and philosophical screening. Sergeant Miguel Rojas was there first. Now he was training the second. The training deck hummed as vacuum-sealed panels rose, revealing a multi-terrain simulator. Metal dunes morphed into jungle outcroppings. Gas projectors mimicked corrosive atmospheres. The environment was lethal by design. 6 operatives stood at attention. Armor glinted with smart skin sensors, built from alien ceramics fused with carbon thread mesh. They looked like soldiers from science fiction. Rojas paced before them, his enhanced physiology evident in every movement, fluid, powerful, disciplined. "This is not about war," he began. "This is about going where no one else can, breathing where no one else survives, solving what no one else understands." He turned to face them fully. "Your strength is a tool. Your mind is your edge. And your loyalty to Earth and each other is your only anchor." Then he smiled faintly. "Oh, and yes, we're absolutely stronger than anything else out there. Let's make sure we're better, too." The trainees nodded. They were ready. Elsewhere in the station's strategic wing, Earth's military and scientific leaders gathered around a holographic model of the solar system. Red icons indicated increased alien presence. Surveillance drones had picked up more Galactic Council monitoring craft in the outer Kuiper Belt. "They're not here to help," muttered Director Amina Valdez of the Earth Defense Research Agency. "They're here to measure." "Measure what?" asked Admiral Lee, folding his arms. Our threat level. The room fell silent. We studied the model. Hephaestus changes everything. We're no longer passengers on a galactic train. We're building our own shipyards, our own weapons. The question is, how long before they decide that's dangerous? We're already dangerous, Amina said. We just haven't proven it yet. News of Hephaestus Station's full activation spread across human networks within hours. Media dubbed it the Anvil of Progress. Industrialists praised the economic leap. Military analysts hailed it as a deterrent. But in galactic circles, the tone shifted. A Council security memo, leaked weeks later, summarized it best. Hephaestus Station represents a level of technological convergence unprecedented among Deathworld species. Humanity's adaptive capability is now a strategic concern. Monitoring recommended. Intervention plausible. On the frontier worlds, whispers grew. The humans had built something new, something fast, something the rest of the galaxy didn't authorize. In his private quarters, Rojas sat alone, staring at a blinking datapad. Amy Kohler's latest report scrolled across the screen. Corti Labs resurfacing. Unauthorized splicing programs rumored. Silent recruitment of human subjects in fringe colonies. He clenched the pad until it cracked. They hadn't learned. The galaxy still wanted to control what it didn't understand. Well, Earth understood now. It had built its own research centers, its own super soldiers, its own command. Hephaestus wasn't the end. It was the beginning, and humanity wasn't waiting for permission anymore. Acceleration. The Dauntless, Earth's first deep space colonial vessel equipped with a human-built FTL drive, surged into the void beyond Neptune with a burst of gravitic displacement. Cheers erupted across its bridge as the stars warped into streaks and the ship slid into Alcubier's space. Faster than light travel, engineered entirely by human hands. Captain Arjun Das stood tall at the viewport, hands clasped behind his back. Below him, the navigation map updated. Destination, Tau Ceti, estimated arrival, 38 hours. He turned to his crew. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a maiden voyage. This is history. We're no longer just joining the galaxy. He smiled. We're expanding into it. Back at Hephaestus Station, strategic alerts pinged every few minutes. A Tinguet colony was facing a biochemical catastrophe. Native flora had mutated due to illegal gene seeding, killing crops and infecting locals. Local med teams had failed. VZKTK researchers were overwhelmed. The call for help was desperate. Within 30 minutes, Heat Fire Team Echo 7 was prepped. Led by Sergeant Rojas, Echo 7 dropped via kinetic insertion pod, slamming into atmosphere at Mach 25, encased in ablative shells that ignited in blue flame. They landed amidst chaos. Screaming villagers, toxic spores in the air, alien biochemistry out of control. Within hours, the team secured the site, neutralized airborne contaminants, and deployed emergency purification nanites synthesized from Ceres-developed human-alien biofusion tech. No one had trained them for this exact scenario. They adapted anyway. The alien survivors looked at the humans, not with fear but with awe. When Council observers arrived 16 hours later, there was nothing left to do. The humans had done it all and documented it perfectly. One observer muttered bitterly, "They're not playing catch-up anymore. They're writing the next chapter." Elsewhere in the galaxy, that chapter wasn't being read. It was being dissected. Inside a Council think tank on Capital Station, elite minds of the Dominion, the Directorate, and several lesser powers gathered around projections of Earth's technological growth. 3 independent orbital facilities, said the Governor Ag analyst. 9 colony ships commissioned. Heat teams in full deployment. Civilian sector integrated with alien trade at 400% growth. A Corti delegate scrolled grimly through a behavioral chart. Their ability to absorb, innovate, and weaponize knowledge exceeds known models. They're not just learning, they're iterating. Solutions emerge faster than problems, said a Dominion senator. How long before they surpass us? No one answered, because deep down they already knew. On Earth, public sentiment had shifted. The galaxy, once distant and terrifying, now felt tangible within reach. Universities opened galactic studies departments. Civilian companies began competing to supply Hephaestus and Ceres with components. Private launches increased, but the fear hadn't vanished. Not entirely. Amy Kohler broadcast a new expose, a black site on a fringe moon where Corti rogue elements continued to experiment, this time using hybridized human volunteers in exchange for performance-enhancing drugs and off-world citizenship. The images were worse than before. Split-spine enhancements, recursive memory loops, cortical fusion with alien AI. And some of the volunteers were barely adults. Earth's public exploded. Protests roared across major cities. Demands for justice echoed through the political sphere. And this time, Earth responded fast. A joint strike team, Terra Marines, and Heat operators raided the moon facility. The Corti were captured. The humans were rescued. And a message was made clear. Earth would not tolerate manipulation, alien or domestic. Later, in a quiet corner of Hephaestus Station, Admiral Lee, Dr. Lena Morozov, and Sergeant Rojas met behind sealed doors. "We're moving too fast," Lena said softly. "Even I'm worried. Each week we break a new law of physics or ethics. There has to be a line." "There is," Rojas said, arms folded. "It's drawn by intention. The Corti crossed it. We don't." Lee didn't speak for a long moment. Then he pulled up a hologram, an encrypted report from an anonymous source. It displayed a projection, human dominance timeline, estimated galactic supremacy in 41 to 63 years. Lena stared. "Is that even possible?" "It's not a prediction," Lee said. "It's a warning. The Council is debating containment." Rojas looked between them. "Let them try." At Ceres, beneath layers of shielding and silence, a new vessel was being assembled. Faster, stronger, designed for operation outside even the known galactic lanes. Its name, Vanguard. Not a weapon. A declaration. Because Earth had stopped asking permission. And the stars were no longer a frontier. They were home turf.